Hello, my name is WES MATHUR and I make TikTok, YouTube, and podcasts about living in Japan and working in media in Japan. Today I would like to answer my most commonly asked questions about adjusting to life in Japan by going through the most popular comments on my most popular TikTok and answering them more in depth. TikTok only allows a certain amount of characters on the reply. Even on TikTok Live, I can't quite get into the answers I would like to give. So I think this would be a platform where I can really answer these questions in depth. So here we go. So my most popular TikTok is on Japanese cultural do's and don'ts for traveling abroad. It comes in at just over 4 million views with about 1.1 million likes as of now. I make this media in order to encourage people to travel, specifically to Japan where I have most of my experience, and to remove any sort of hesitation people will have about not understanding such a different culture. I think cultural differences are amazing and intriguing, and I think they should be something that shouldn't really seem like a barrier or a deterrent, but really should be embraced and should really be a source of fascination. So here we go. So let's check out what kind of comments I've received. Here are some Japanese cultural norms that could be helpful if you plan to visit. First of all, some things that are considered impolite. It's considered kind of rude if you blow your nose in public. I got very few questions on this, and I think that's because it's fairly straightforward. I did get asked a lot about allergies and hay fever and how you could cope with that, and I mean, no one's gonna fault you if you have to take care of a runny nose. If that's a concern of yours, I wouldn't worry too much about that. However, when I first came here, I was really surprised at the abundance of public restrooms and how clean and well stocked they are, so that has never been a problem for me. I've been to Japan twice. Not all restrooms are clean, but the majority are. Yeah, that's very true. That is something I noticed right off the bat when I first arrived in Japan. The public train station bathrooms are all spotless. Not to mention public restrooms at every convenience store open 24/7. And that might not seem like the biggest thing. However, coming from Los Angeles, there are countless times I've been in Los Angeles and I have not been able to find a public restroom when needed. And that can be a great discomfort. And in bigger parts of the city, I've often had to pay money at like a laundromat to use a restroom in Los Angeles. Clean and available 24/7 is something I greatly appreciated about Japan. Even most parks have clean public restrooms that are stocked with toilet paper. So I know that's a pretty far stretch from having to find a place to blow your nose, but that is something I really do appreciate. And sometimes when you're traveling and between hotels or on a longer part of your journey, just having a clean place to brush your teeth, wash your hands can be fantastic. And I've utilized 7-Eleven facilities countless times for just doing that. It's also slightly frowned upon to eat while walking. I wouldn't say this is actually seen as rude. However, if one is seen eating and walking, they might come across as somebody that hasn't timed out their day too well. Okay, so eating while walking in public. Original Joey says, if you want to eat in public, just eat or drink by the vending machine you bought from. This comes in at 84 likes. And yes, I can agree with that. I love vending machines here, and that's something I do often. A lot of vending machines will have a small area to sit by. That is something I see often in Japan, and that's not something that should make you stand out. So, JoeGod13 says, eating and walking would be the one that I'd have so much trouble with. Not because I can't sit down, I just prefer constantly snacking. Yeah, I can feel that as well, and I love snacks here, so hey, yeah, I can relate to that. I love snacking as well. Playboy Carter says, what about drinking and walking? Like a coffee or something? So drinking and walking, I've never heard anything to suggest that that is frowned upon. I really want to instill that having all these small rules come at you at once might seem oppressive. However, in practice, I've never felt that is the case. And I would not say that rude is really the word, as maybe possibly low class. And almost every day in Japan, every day walking through the streets of Tokyo or Osaka, I've seen people walking around and eating. So if it's something you have to do out of necessity, I wouldn't feel too self-conscious about it. For me personally, if I'm out with friends, it's something I avoid, as I don't want to do something that would make them not really want to be seen with me. But at festivals also, they have yatai, which are stands that sell drinks and food, and oftentimes I see people buy some snack like a yakitori or a drink and walk around while eating that there, and a lot of these could possibly just be seen as more guidelines. If you would like to blend in more, or talking points if you have a discussion about Japanese social norms with somebody when you travel. Wakabayashi says, is it frowned upon to drink and walk? Like I don't have the time to sit down and drink my drink, I carry drinks for a while. Coming in at 86 likes, I would say yeah, I've never heard anything against that being totally cool. And of course we got comments about not eating and walking referring to anime girls running with toast in their mouth. And I think the cultural opposition to eating and walking kind of plays into why this is a thing. Baby Owl 8 says anime girls running with toast in their mouth, and then the eye thing. 27.9 thousand likes, so a lot of people were wondering about that. I think the anime girl with toast in her mouth kind of symbolizes that accentuates the fact that she's really late for school and kind of has a chaotic morning. So the fact that she is running to school while eating shows just how very little time she's given herself in the morning, and might add to the character development that they are trying to give her. Vinny Oreo says, no cute girl with toast in their mouth. UWU. Okay, let's see what we have next. Next, I think is something that everyone kind of knows already. However, it's customary to take off your shoes anytime you enter one's house. And most restrooms will also have slippers to use when you enter them. So an overwhelming amount of comments were basically shocked that Americans don't take off their shoes when they enter a home. So let's look into if that's true and why that might be. So official Sugamama says, wait, people just wear their shoes inside the house? I grew up always taking your shoes off before walking inside. Coming in at 890 likes. So yeah, my experience growing up in America varied from people who would like to take their shoes off inside the house and people that didn't really care one way or another. And here are basically very similar responses. I thought everywhere in the world people took their shoes off when you enter the house, says Osh Wiener, coming in at 600 likes. And sorry if I pronounced somebody's username incorrectly. Storm1733 says, I don't know why Americans wear shoes in their house, coming in at 128 likes. And How Peachy says, wait, do people here in America wear shoes inside? So yeah, it varies from household to household depending on basically the family's personal preference. I have heard historically that Western and typically American fashion stems from shoes that really had to deal with a lot of rugged terrain, thinking of like Wild West days and cowboy boots. So historically, Western shoes were often a bit more difficult to remove, and I've read that that is one of the reasons that may be why many Western cultures traditionally don't take off their shoes inside of a house, is what I learned in my culture class. I personally enjoy taking off my shoes inside of my home regardless of where I am. And in Japan, this is something that I've always seen to be the case. However, we do have exceptions, and that is something I'd like to look into here. Rico Odell says, I have a brace I have to wear to walk, so what would I do if I enter someone's house? I can't walk without it, and it kind of requires a shoe. I can't imagine any situation where a Japanese host would fault you for having to wear shoes if it's something that requires you to walk, so I wouldn't worry about that at all. My friend in Japan broke her leg playing soccer and had to have a cast on while she walked around. After that brace, what she would do sometimes is like carry wipes to wipe off the bottom of her shoe whenever she entered a house, but I wouldn't be worried at all about any establishments giving you issues if you have to wear a brace. I've seen across Japan an overwhelming amount of support for anybody with any disabilities. I covered that in a TikTok video about how Japan has Braille on the streets and at crosswalks and on many drinks to accommodate people with vision disabilities. Now for things that are seen as polite, if you are invited to someone's home, it's often customary to bring a gift. Even something small like some chocolate or a bottle of wine. So, Timoteo says, moving to Japan and throwing a huge house party every weekend. Infinite gifts. And yeah, thinking smart there, much respect. And joking aside, when I did study abroad in Yamanashi, which is more of a rural town, my friends all shared a big house. And that was the main place I saw people having what most closely resembles an American house party. And yeah, you're not wrong, people brought them food and drinks every weekend, so they were pretty stocked. The Anime Degenerate says, I did not know about the bringing of a small gift at 74 likes. And yeah, that's something I was taught in cultural class here and also something I saw in practice. Honestly, the first couple times I visited a friend's house, a Japanese home, I was a little bit nervous. I don't know if that's just me or something that other people can relate to. However, remembering to bring a gift kind of took some of the edge away from me, and I did. It's something I really enjoy doing as well. These gifts can include boxes of chocolates, champagne, wine. Doesn't have to be expensive, I believe. And I would actually recommend not getting something too expensive, because the gift that is too expensive can often be pressure for the recipient. If they have a kid, some kind of toy or stuffed animal for the kid. Many prefectures in Japan also have prefecture-specific gifts. These are called omiyage. Often they are snacks that are tied into that specific prefecture's culture and history. So that's also a recommendation, and they often come in a small, nicely wrapped box, which I like. Alright, what's next? And if you are eating with a group of people, it's seen as polite to pour others' drinks before you pour your own. Yes, this is something that I didn't learn in my culture class, but I was taught when I went out to dinner with various groups, like my upperclassmates, my tennis club, or my music club. And it's something that I saw happening a lot. And this is something that, in practice, really helped me fit in, and I really felt like more part of the group, which I really did enjoy. And again, it's not something that anyone's gonna fault you on if you don't do. And quite honestly, many people don't expect travelers to know these things or to adhere to these customs. So trying to go for them really sets you a step ahead in adapting to the culture. Naruto Uzumaki's pork ramen, I like the username by the way, commented, Wait, if it's appropriate to pour others' drinks before your own, who would pour your drink? So I would pour my own drink at the very end of it. However, other people, regardless of where they fit in the senpai kohai thing, will often pour my drink for me as well if they see that my drink is running low. And this is mainly applicable if people have a shared bottle that they're drinking from. If people order a bottle of wine or beer or tea or coffee that's set in the middle of the table and everybody shares it, which is often the case. Often restaurants will also bring you a bucket of ice to drink with these beverages, and I also add ice to other people's drinks if I see them running low too. So just a little thing I enjoy doing and that I see being done here a lot. Anyway, that is all for part 1, and part 2 will be coming shortly. Thank you so much for watching. It would mean the world to me if you can hit the like and subscribe button down below. And if you do leave any comments, those are comments that I will be able to answer in the next YouTube video, where I will be answering comments from my YouTube videos that I find in the comments below. Some updates: for copyright reasons, from here on out I will be using original music that I do make myself for the purpose of this YouTube. So I hope that works out. And if you get a chance, please check out my Instagram, which is WES MATHUR, for all of my media work in Japan. And if you do feel so inclined as to support me, then please consider checking out my merch. These are all designs that I do myself, sourced from all the media work I do here in Japan, and inspired by my experience on these platforms, sharing my experience in Japan. Anyway, enough talk. Thank you for watching again, and have a great week. Bye.